she was a fireman. He was like, they got off from work. He said, let's go. So we, 6 o'clock in the morning, we're out of vacation.
What are you going tomorrow?
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Supposed to storm tomorrow.
So really is, right now,
It's actually just like a late bloomer.
It's all.
You can enjoy the winter.
It don't matter. It doesn't matter where you go.
They're just, they're in there.
He's getting his boat ready. He's got this tiny boat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he did a JD too.
Yeah, that's what we did.
We'll try everything.
Yeah, it's a good time. You gotta get out there before that
Yeah, it's
sunrise.
supposed to be nice.
Right now, right now, 3 weeks ago, we got walleye and lake trout out there. Now, I think right now, it's like the smaller 50 pounds. And then you go to the number 9, the number 9s, and then you go to the 11s later, so. I do a lot of my work. Yeah. Well, but the 8:45.
No.
Today, they move out, now I go in there after they move out. Like when the temperatures start going up, you know, the slabs are on the quantity. Yeah. Go on slab. I can work my call around the city right now. They go fast.
3 minutes.
I'm one of those leaders, I think there's kind of still there. Just watch this. Yeah. Out there.
Now you have to be no David.
So you're moving closer?
Well, I got a computer because Pam's out.
You're 13 years old.
Behave or I'm going to see you all day. Okay? Just go off here. What happened?
Oh, Mitchell's still cleaning up the child. I go, I gotta go. I had dirt and stuff over. I go, I better at least change.
It smell like chainsaw, huh?
Oh, yeah, well, there's a lot of dust in my hair, and I put some deodorant on now.
Well, that's good. I don't want to smell you.
Hey, if I didn't show up, there were only like
Messing with
3. And when Zach shows up,
New business. How does it get down to new
I
business?
call those when there's 31 inches.
What's wrong with this thing?
oh gosh.
Yeah.
Is your face sitting on that corner every time you're doing that?
It's my one. No. Put this thing up way down here.
Did you go down to Baker's Sunday?
Yep.
A lot of cars?
No, there's about 30. A lot of people just cruising in and out.
A little delayed reaction.
But there were some nice cars.
I had talked to you about the Alante. So it's just the 4 of us today?
Yep.
Zach's
Well, let's
Oh, okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for attending our meeting tonight. We're going to get started here in just a second. We'll have 2 opportunities for public comment. His comment time only. The first public comment will be for items that are on the agenda. The second one is for any other business. Time now is 7 o'clock. We'll call our meeting to order. Please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Treasurer, may I have the roll call vote, please?
Herman,
Here.
Kurt,
Here.
Zach,
He's on his way. Just notify you got caught in traffic.
Mike Cunningham,
Here.
Jennifer here, David Walker, absent, Pam Moffler, absent.
I have two things that I'd like to add to the agenda tonight. One of them is an extractive industrial moratorium. That's item number 7. And then item number 8 will be our annual lawn maintenance contract.
We approve the amended agenda.
So moved. Support, I'm sorry.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Next, approval of the consent agenda. We have the regular board meeting minutes from March 19, 2024, the regular board meeting minutes from March 26, 2024, the treasurer's report from March 31st, 2024, clerk's warrants and bills, April 10, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Next, we have 3 communication items. We have the Livingston County Sheriff's Report dated March 31, 2024, the Planning Commission regular meeting minutes dated March 12, 2024, and the Planning Commission meeting synopsis dated April 9, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to receive communications 1 through 3 and place on file. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Moving on to public remarks. Anybody willing to address the board, please raise your hand, wait till you're called upon. Come up to the front, have a seat, or stand in front of the microphone and address the board. This is about agenda items only. Do we have anyone? Yes, for public comment. Yes, Scott.
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. All right, since you're adding this extractive stuff to the agenda, I'd like, there's nothing in to read. I don't know what you're talking about, so I can't question it. So can you explain, without using my, you're not time gaming, can you explain what that is before we comment on it?
Yeah, it's just a moratorium for industrial extractive while we revise our ordinance.
Okay, all right. So the other one's lawn maintenance, okay. The 2 issues here with the, take legal action for zoning violations. It's all good, but, I brought up some issues with Garrett over here at Peabody's. And I talked to Ross today, and he keeps kicking the can down the road, keeps changing everything. It's like hiring another lawyer to keep kicking the can down the road. We're coming up on 2 years since almost this summer that you guys brought him in here to see what he wants to do. And I think if we're gonna do some legal action, we gotta put a foot in his butt. All right, I ran into a resident the other day, Mike, and he was very upset. And I know you always come here and you say, call you if you got a problem, come see me. And he's very distraught that he comes here with issue, and it's a very important issue. And arguing with you over and over, I guess you just told him that he's no longer welcome here to come because you guys had an argument. Now this is why we need a board, not people going directly to you. I don't want that, I'm not trying to start a fight with you, but you don't tell a resident like that. I don't care if you disagree with them or not. You told the man his welcome is worn out here. He's a taxpayer. That's not right. I don't care if you disagree with him or not. I don't care if he argues with you, but he always has a right to come out and say his piece. Anybody does. Whether I agree with him, you agree with him, he agrees with him, we all have a right. So, give him a little respect. I know you might not agree with him. All right, everything else looks good. The quote you got for out there, now that was for gutter work too? Or just that installation for the piece? Was that what you were talking about with your quote for the? You got here for, I thought you had damage siding and gutter extension installation quote. I assume it's for repairing this up front, what I brought up again last week. Is that included?
That flange?
Yeah. Now is there anything else beside that in that quote?
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't see no gutter damage, and then I saw one damage, so I really didn't see what it was. So we got 2 quotes.
No, just one.
Just one? It'd be nice if we get a couple more, so. All right, thanks.
Anyone else? Yep.
Trustees, right? That means you're trusted. I don't see the trust when you don't communicate and have dialogue with the people in a group setting. It's you guys being accountable. That's what trustee means, you're trusted. That includes the supervisor and the treasurer and the clerk and everybody that sits on this board. You're all elected. So trustees, it's important, tied to the oath, the pledges that we take. And today, I don't see on the agenda, it's what I don't see on the agenda, is this whole idea that the planning commission passed last time to recommend a no-go on the marijuana facility. So I don't know why that's not here, but that's an extremely important issue. And if you don't understand that by looking at the video from the last planning commission meeting, you would be able to see from the public hearing how the cry from the public was very, very loud. So you want trust, you want to be trusted, but you have to earn that trust like everybody else. Being voted into office is only one step. It's to continue the things that you said you would do when you're voted into office, and that's to maintain the trust of the residents. And I don't see the trust of the residents by this board. I don't see it because you don't ever talk to anybody. You don't have town hall meetings, which is despicable. You don't have workshops where you'll actually have dialogue with the residents. That's terrible. So why should I trust anything? I had 10-year-old kids sitting in here one meeting a few meetings ago, and I said, do you trust people that don't ever want to talk to you? He said, no. Even a 10-year-old gets that. So step up to your jobs, become trustees, earn our trust as residents, but you have to continue to earn it over and over again. Continue. So today's a good place to start, if you can stomach it. Help us trust you, but that's earned. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
I'm Jeanette, and I'm a Tyrone Township resident. So we noticed the quote for the historical townhouse electric work. We heard that there's a third quote out there. I got a copy of it today by coming up to the township. It was not included in the packet. I understand that the packet was made up last week, but I also understand that a lot of times that you will change the packet even the day of. You have changed the agenda. So I am asking, why is that not in there? Now I understand that it's pulled out. So either way, the need for transparency and the rights of the people to know far outweighs any time it would take to make this correction, in my opinion. At minimum, it should be available as a printout for people to see tonight. So if you aren't keeping it on the agenda, I mean, I think the people should know what it is about it that you're not, that's not good. I'm going to distribute it so that people can see it, but perhaps you could read it out loud. Also, you just passed meeting minutes again. I really think you should quit quoting people and their public comments, because what you do is you pick and choose what you quote them on. You take a small part of what someone says, and it's your emphasis on what they said, not necessarily where they put the emphasis. But I do trust one thing, that my comment tonight, what I've just said here, is going to be completely ignored. Because even as I've informed you of several meeting minutes that are completely inaccurate, you approve them anyway without making necessary corrections. So this comment is really just for the record, as I suspect you are not going to change the way you inaccurately report the meeting minutes, and you won't go back and look at the March 19th meeting minutes. They are not truly, they're not truly reflecting what was said that night. You will notice that there are some people that can't even look at me on the board here tonight. Oh, you looked at me. Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Steve Atkinson. The third electrical quote that was coming, I think there was some miscommunication. the third quote was going to be us, licensed electrician, contractors, pulled permits, everything. We're gonna do it for the cost of material and do free labor. I think one of the other bids that you already have is the same thing. So it makes no sense for two companies to bid against each other for the same thing. So I've reached out to the other guy that was doing the same thing, and I haven't heard back from him, but I sent a message essentially saying, hey, count us in for the free labor. So at this point, you have the two bids and not a third one. So just to clarify that.
Good job, thanks, Steve.
Anyone else? All right, being none, we'll move on. We have no unfinished business, so we're going to move into unfinished business. We have no unfinished business, so we're going to move into new business. I've made several calls to people to come out and give us a quote to fix the siding on the building. And we finally got somebody to come out and provide us with a quote. There's 8 pieces of damaged siding, a corner post, a J-channel. There's a dented gutter, a downspout extension on the backside of the building needs refastened to the drain tiles. And there's a missing siding piece that needs to be fastened correctly. The total for it's $1,100. I don't see that to be egregious in any way. If you would like to put this work off, we can, and entertain, more quotes, or we can go ahead and get the work done so we don't risk damaging our building.
This quote includes the materials, correct?
Well, yeah, there really isn't. It's just fixing, what's there.
Well, it says replace 8 pieces of damaged siding.
Yeah, that would include that.
Okay.
If we did put it off, assume there's potential for water getting in there.
You say no, and then it happens, and you say yes, and it doesn't happen. It's Mother Nature and weather, so,
Yeah.
we've been trying to predict the weather for how many years, and,
Do we have any idea how long it would take to get more quotes? Is it, how
well,
difficult
like I said,
that
I
can
think I
be?
probably called 5 or 6 different people, and I couldn't get anybody to come out. That seems to be, we ran into that with our well drilling. Phil had that out to bid for quite some time, and only got 2 people to bid. But, that's a certified, website that he uses, and they have to meet certain criteria to be on that website. This is, this isn't as serious as drilling a fire hole. This is, some basic maintenance, so
And it's a small job.
it is a small job.
Mike, I used to work with a guy doing roofing and siding and stuff and got to work. I think that's a good price. I would make the motion that since you called other people, they haven't called you back, that I make a motion, we accept this bid.
Support.
So motion is supported to approve the Armor Exteriors bid for $1,140. Fix the gutter and siding. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to item number 2, the historic town hall electrician quotes. The Historical Society worked on getting these, and Sarah worked on it. And Sarah, do you want to come up here in case there's any questions that you might need to ask?
Do you want me to come up there?
Yeah, would you mind that? Didn't mean to put you on the spot. So we have, I'll explain it right here. We have 3 quotes. One of them is an extremely thorough quote, and it's expensive. It's $16,756.45. The next one is a total of $10,100. It lists out all the items, permits, even goes into installing the service and the service main. What it doesn't say in the contract is that the labor is free, it's being donated or anything like that. So if we were to entertain anything like this, I think the motion should include that this contract get clarified on the labor cost and if it's donated or paying. And if there is a labor cost, then we're going to have to bring it back and look at it. This last quote, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line items. It looks very incomplete. I'm having a hard time with it because it's very, very, very basic, incomplete. And Sarah had talked to them and they said that this was an incomplete quote. Is that true?
That was the last conversation we had, yeah.
Okay.
And I guess what I want to say is that last one was like a materials list is what I was told. But when I had sent the email to the board,
Right.
I had tried to communicate that they were offering to pitch in the free labor as well. And with the second quote there, I talked with him verbally on the phone about the line item being missing for labor and installation, and he is out of town, so he couldn't edit the quote, but he did say, verbally that his quote also includes the labor and installation, but that he'd be happy to edit that
Right.
when he returns.
And for those that looked at this online, I mean, the first quote is 2 pages long. The second quote is 2 pages long. This one's just a small little box with a few items, and I just think that could be potentially running down a rabbit hole. So I don't even know if we would. I'm not in favor of that quote. I don't know what you guys are, but
I'm not either, unless you're an electrician and you know what these codes means nothing to me. I can't read one line item on here. All I can read is the total or the amounts.
folks, excuse me, we're having a meeting, and please be quiet. You have time to talk at public comment.
I don't want to put a damper on people donating labor because I think that's fantastic. But one thing that came to my mind was insurance too, and it's probably fine as long as it's employees that are doing labor, I would think. But I wouldn't want to do something that would get us in trouble with our insurance coverage either by having someone who's not an electrical contractor working.
That's one of the things that we usually, when we take bids, is that we require proof insurance, so that could be included in the motion too.
Yeah.
So, $11,000 sounds a lot better than $16,000,
$10,000, isn't it?
or $10,100 as opposed to $16,700. And I know we've put this off once, and there's a grant that's depending on getting this done, because Wayne Coat needs to be installed, otherwise we have to pay that grant money back. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I do like the idea of donating. I like the whole concept, but there's not much meat on that bone. So I'm concerned there might be some holes in it, and it
Well,
could
one would-
expose us for additional costs or liabilities.
One would question what's missing on there. I mean, the other 2 quotes are 2 pages.
Well, I mean, if any of you guys were
I
handling...
don't see any
the-
electrical service on there.
Yeah, the electrical service is not on there. I mean, I don't know anybody
That's just a parts
running a
list.
business that would entertain something like that. You know, I'm not trying to knock them, but, we have to look out for our residents and our township, and our insurance and all that, so.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing
So
is
now we're
too,
down to 2.
if they're donating their time, is it when they have time to do it, or is it,
They're gonna
They're-
make a priority.
yeah, is it some kind of priority? You know, if it's whenever they get to it, that's another thing too,
And I know there is a time crunch.
What's the time?
yeah.
When does your wainscot need to be installed by?
I'd have to check with Margaret. She's the one that did the grant.
I knew it was in the
Declare.
springtime sometime.
Yeah, I
from
wanna say
conversation,
May,
but I
but
don't know the specific,
I wanna say May too, but I don't.
I have
remember
to
the
double
exact-
check with her. I thought it was May, but
regardless.
I'd be comfortable making a motion to approve the RCJ quote, subject to confirmation that it would be free of charge labor and that the work would be covered by
Their
insurance.
They have to prove.
Yeah.
Provide the proof of insurance.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to add to that, that there's, we get a date on when it would be completed.
Would you add that to your motion?
I would, sure.
Okay. So on a completion date.
Before we do that, with Steve that mentioned that, is he part of the RJC, the free labor?
No, it's probably,
What's that, Steve?
it was probably that third one that's very incomplete, that $6,200.
Yeah.
Just the lighting package, because the engineer went crazy. The light fixtures, they spec'd 4 of them, and just for one light fixture is $430. One light fixture. The lighting controller is over $2,000, and all that is a switch to turn the lights on and off. The engineer got crazy on that. So that $10,000, there isn't much, if any, labor in that.
There isn't
That
supposed to.
$6,200 doesn't include wire, doesn't include receptacles, boxes. That is just light fixtures.
Okay.
So that's why that one was so incomplete. And that wasn't a quote as much as an email to say, do you really know what you're buying here? Because it's getting crazy. And we were trying to figure out a suitable replacement for a third or a quarter of the cost that would have the same look, and they're available. But the engineer spec'd that, the engineer spec'd it all in pipe, which is way above code and adding incredible costs for nothing. The engineer got crazy on that. But that's the spec that they put out.
We did talk to the RCJ company about some of that too, and not running it through pipe and relocating some things and making changes. And I believe that when Steve came up to make his comment, he's trying to reach out to them to see if somehow they can collaborate to bring costs down even more, but, that's kind of where we're at.
All right, well, any other comments for it? Well, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Well, on this here, I'm looking at this, you know, you got residents to do it, like Kurt made, you know, the availability, the time deadline we have to do it, saying that it costs too much money. What were the specs? It all has to be run, he said it in conduit, correct, because it's commercial?
I believe so, yeah, it is commercial. That's what they're considering as. It's not, they don't consider it as a residential building.
So the engineer said these are the specs we want that have to have, and that's what RCJ has,
Yes.
where this one doesn't. But Steve, you say that, before I vote on this, I want to get this.
Can I see that paper
Yeah.
just to confirm I'm talking
Here.
about the right? I'm assuming, yeah, this is the email that I sent. So this right here is each light fixture. There's 6 of them. This is each light fixture for 3 outside gooseneck fixtures, the little curvy pipe ones with the little hat on them. That's each one. This is the controller to turn these 6 light fixtures on and off. This is control cabling for that.
Now, what about for conduit? Do you have that in there?
So, no, this is no wiring, no nothing. This is just light fixtures.
Okay.
By code, that does not need to be in conduit.
If it's a commercial building?
Commercial or not, this building doesn't need to be in conduit. It's over a square footage, over a certain number of floors high. So, no, that building does not need to be in conduit. A lot of times you'll have engineers that will design Walmarts and Meijers and every other huge building and commercial property, and they have these little cookie cutter specs, and they'll just copy and paste on every one because it's way faster for them. So half of what he spec'd is ridiculous and not cost effective. You can do the whole thing in Romex We did talk to the inspector, because he has those plans submitted already, and said, hey, can we alter this? That building doesn't have just drywall. It has tongue and groove beaded board
Right.
for the ceiling. There's 4 light fixtures in it now. So if you try and put 6 up, now you're gonna try and do patchwork in that bead board where the other 2 are now, so that you can move them to get the 6 spaced even. You're never gonna match that right. So you can go to 4 light fixtures instead of the 6, and just go to a higher lumen output. You'll have as much light as the 6, but they'll go right in the same hole, so you won't have to do patchwork in the ceiling, everything will be even. But those are the options we were looking at. We talked to the inspector, he said, yes, you can build it and get away from the plans that were submitted. You'll just have to do an as-built after to turn in, which is fine. It's a pencil and a paper, and you draw what you did with some measurements on it, and they're fine with that.
So obviously you're gonna be working under a licensed contractor.
Yes, yeah.
So the question that people are concerned about, you have a full-time job, when are you gonna be available to do it?
That is a weekend project at most, to have that wired. Next weekend. But I don't have an accurate quote for you, because that email was sent as a, holy crap, look at the lighting package you're getting, not as a, this is a total cost. So if the RCJ is doing a total cost and actually accounted for all of that, I sent him a text, I haven't heard back from him. But if he's looking at doing the same thing we're doing, there is no sense in 2 companies trying to donate the labor and only charge the cost of material. Why are you gonna have those 2 companies compete? Right? If he gets it at a different wholesale supplier than we do, the cost is gonna be $50 different. You know what I mean? If there's no labor in there, so, hopefully he gets back to me and we can just pool resources and have it done in a weekend.
Well, there was a deadline for this here, wasn't there, Sarah? There was a deadline that had to come in?
Well, they
missed
did
all
know
that.
about it
Yeah.
because it was pulled off the last agenda, and I had asked for the quote to be done for this board meeting, because we need to move forward.
Well, and that's why I
So
came up here,
that's, yeah,
sorry.
no, that's okay.
That's
Go
why I
ahead.
came up here and said, ignore the 3rd quote, because it's not.
Yeah.
And we'll just work with him.
I'd be very reluctant to go against what our engineer has said without revisiting the issue with the
Thank you,
engineer.
Steve.
And I would be concerned about timing issues if we were to go back to the engineer at this point and look at respecing.
I don't think we have time.
That's where I'm at.
And it does sound like, I think the county is gonna work with us, and no one's trying to spend more money than we need to.
Right.
I just think if Steve is willing to collaborate, with other folks, then we have the same end goal.
Well, if anybody's ever wired anything, I don't think 10 grand is much to rewire that and put the lights and fixtures and stuff that they're requiring.
Especially
I
having
mean,
to do
to
200 amp service.
Yeah. So Zach made a motion?
Yep, Zach made a motion.
I'll second.
All right, it's been motioned and seconded to approve the RCG contract not to exceed $10,100 with the wording that the labor is going to be donated and a completion date and proof of insurance. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to new business number 3, that's Mabley Hill Road Improvement Agreement. We had discussed this in our, prior to our budget. They're going to put gravel on Mabley Hill Road from Fawcett to Holtforth. They didn't include the other one, which is from Holtforth to Germany, so that whole stretch is going to be done. This $117,000 quote is just for that. The tree work has already been done. There's going to be some ditch work that's going to be done in addition to this. So unless there's any other questions, I'll entertain the motion.
I'll make a motion.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the Mabley Hill Improvement Agreement from Holtforth to Fawcett for $117,000. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Moving on to new business number 4, partial road improvement agreement. Want to point out, there was a typo. I tried to get a corrected copy from Trevor, but he's out of the office. It's partial road, and it's not from Fawcett to Holtforth, because they all run the same direction. It's partial road from Bullard to Heartland Road. And that's a split project with Heartland Township and us. We're paying 50%, they're paying 50%, and our cost is $45,000. This too was pre-budgeted for and already approved in our budget.
Make a motion to approve the corrected agreement.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the corrected agreement. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Next, new business item number 5, authorization to take legal action for zoning violation on parcel 008. We've got somebody that has had unregistered vehicles in the yard, multiple jet skis, tractors, rodents living in them. We sent enforcement letter, there was no response. We sent a second enforcement letter. They called, said they would need approximately 90 days to get the vehicle's registered license. We gave them 90 days. Inspected property, took photos, jet skis were removed, however, the vehicles remained, and the property was in violation of the ordinance. We went back out and inspected. Not only did they not do it, they've added more vehicles to the property. And I think we need to get a nudge from legal counsel, send them a nastygram. If they don't take action, then we proceed with legal action on them. To get a nudge from the judge, as I like to say.
I make a motion.
I'll support.
Been motioned and supported to take legal action for zoning violation on parcel 008. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Moving on to new business, item number 6 is authorization to take legal action for zoning violation on parcel 001. This started in July of 21. We received a complaint, we inspected the property, there were multiple vehicles, trucks, trailers, RV, many without license plate. We sent our first enforcement letter in August, the 3rd of 21. They contacted, said they would construct a privacy fence to hide some of the vehicles in the backyard, and said we would close that out if it was suitable. Got another complaint, said that the property was worse, inspected, sent a letter, gave them 4 weeks to put the vehicles in an enclosed building, build privacy fence, or get them registered. Drove by the property on May 31st, 22. It looked cleaned up. Then we observed 3 of the cars were registered, 1 boat, 1 trailer, 1 truck trailer. Still was permitted. There's a truck trailer that was not permitted. The yard wasn't cleaned up. We got another complaint, went back out, asked for them to contact us in 7 days. July 20th, we sent them another letter, and they never heard back from the July 23rd letter. Called, said they would build a pole barn by fall, winter of 22. No pole barn has been constructed. We sent them another letter asking them to clean it up. They called again, they said there are 3, got another complaint saying there's 3 trailers in the driveway now. The one in the backyard is broken down. There's broken metal shelving and 3 dead vehicles in the side yard. We sent a letter, no response. We sent a final letter. They called to say he has a builder coming to give an estimate to build a barn. That was October 4 of '23. November 8th, they sent a letter asking about the pole barn. Said it'd been over 2 years since we first reported the complaint. Asked that he contact us upon receipt of the letter, and then there was no response. And we had our attorney send a nastygram with 10 days to clean it up or would take legal action. A month, 6 weeks later, we inspected the property. No change, possibly worse, and they got another complaint on April 8th. So obviously, this is just a merry-go-round of say they're going to do it, doing nothing, and making it worse. So I'm requesting that we take legal action on them as well.
Make a motion to authorize legal action.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to take legal action for zoning violations on parcel 001. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Moving on to item number 7. Kind of noticed there's been some drilling going on, so in the area, so I asked that our extractive industrial ordinance was looked at, and it needs some work. It's not compliant with the law, so we mentioned that we were going to start work on it at the last planning commission meeting. So I would like to enact a moratorium while we review this and make the necessary changes and make it consistent with the law. That way, we're protecting ourselves and our residents if someone does decide to come in.
So resolved.
Support.
It's been resolved and supported to enact a moratorium for extractive industrial.
Do we need a roll call?
Yep. I need a roll call vote, please.
Herman Ferguson,
Yes.
Zach Tucker,
Yes.
Kurt Schultz,
Yes.
Mike Cunningham,
Yes.
Jennifer Eden, yes. David Walker, absent. Pam Moffler, absent.
That resolution passes. And then our lawn maintenance contract is expired. We need to renew it. Actually expires April 20th. For Gardner Cemetery, it's $60. For Caldwell, it's $30. For Clow Hill Cemetery, it's $30. For the township, it's $60. And then any extra services are $10 an hour. This has been our price quote for I don't know how many years.
As long
And
as I've been here.
it's not gone up. We're not going to get a better deal.
What company is that, Mike?
Steve Murphy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the name of his company? It's just Steve, right?
Murph's Turf.
Oh, okay, Murph's Turf.
Murph's
Yeah. Oh,
I-
just Steve.
Make a motion that we accept that. Steve Murphy.
Excuse me. Please, one meeting. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Herm.
I make a motion we accept Steve Murphy.
I'll second
Okay.
it.
It's been motioned and supported to accept Steve Murphy's contract. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. That concludes new business. We have no miscellaneous business. I do want to kind of give you an update, though. We had an animal rescue come into Tyrone Township that did not apply for a special land use permit because they had exceeded the animal limits. We got on it, we started enforcement, wasn't getting any response. They finally did come say that they were going to come in. They started putting up stuff, it wasn't compliant with our ordinance. They did not fill out an application for a special land use permit. Found out that this person had history in multiple municipalities in Oakland County, had pending legal actions and stuff against them. I got the Livingston County Sheriff's Department and Animal Control involved. We did some inspections. We've got some veterinarians out there, and ultimately, the animals were seized and removed from the property by the Livingston County Sheriff's Department and Animal Control. As a result of that, she has signed over all her rights to the animals to the Livingston County Sheriff's Department. She has a temporary order on her that she can't be around any of those animals, only her personal pets, her dogs. She has to pay $100,000 in restitution for costs. She still has to go for trial with the county, so I don't know too much of the details because it's still kind of an active investigation and stuff, but that's the update that I have. And we still have our lawsuit pending against her, so that worked out well that we got those animals out of there, and it was at a bad time of the year. It was really cold, and that was a massive operation. It took it from 9 o'clock in the morning till like 2 o'clock the next morning to get it done. So I'm glad we were able to get that done, and you know, thanks to our sheriff's department and our prosecutor's office for doing something that 7 municipalities weren't able to do. And thank you to our zoning team here too, because they did a great job. So,
Mike, on that 100,000, did we have to pay that, or does the county, who pays?
The person that had the animal rescue is paying that to.
So we didn't have to front the county any money then?
No,
Okay.
no. The county is the one, you know, other than our time of going out there, most of the expenses were the extraction of the animals in that process. You know, they had to, because of how the property was situated, they had to get a special trailer and bring out one animal at a time. And it had been snowing and raining, and it was slushy, and it was not a fun time for those people out there. But they, you know, that's what all that was about.
Wow.
So that's where all those costs are. So, other than that, last call for public remarks before we adjourn. Yes, Scott?
All right. Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. When I looked at the drain field with Ed, I'm very concerned with it still because there's a lot of big trees. Looks like there's some big tree roots. And I asked before, is how far down is the cut? You know, from the top to the tile, because we might have a lot of roots still. So far, you guys aren't having a problem, thank God. But there's still an issue there. I think we need to probably clean it up. I don't know if you're going to keep spraying it. If you're going to mow it, you can't mow it the way it is. Okay, this extracting thing, if it's the Giggler farm and the Sutton farm, the old Wyckoff farm, I brought that up months ago. I don't know if I brought it up here or if I brought it up to Kurt. They were drilling, or Sutton, Mr. Sutton told me about them drilling the gravel pits going over there. So you got two different entities as far as I'm concerned, looking at those properties, if that's what you're bringing up. I brought that up months ago. We should have got on the ball earlier, because we don't need 2 more gravel pits or 1 more gravel pit in this township. And I don't need any more of that crap coming by my house. All right. Anybody, I you know, over the years, I got people coming in here and we keep fighting with them. They're not trustworthy. They come in here and a lot of them know the rules. And some of them avoid coming to the township. Just like this pot growing facility here. They've exposed themselves as not being trustworthy. I don't know how we could even trust anybody like that to even have a business in this township. So, another thing is, I live over on Sullivan Lake. I got a neighbor over there, thank God he's moving out, and there's probably a couple more. But cats, feral cats. He feeds them on his deck. I got rid of 6, 7, one the other year, and I got 15, 20. And I had to get rid of the grandkids sandbox because of the urinating, that's a health hazard. We gotta get something in this, I'm sorry. They are an invasive species. I don't care if people love their cats. I had my daughter's cat, and we had it in the house. She's got it in her apartment. She don't set it free. I can't let my dogs free. We need to get these people to keep their cats in the house. If not, they're feral, they get destroyed. Or animal control's got to take care of them. I can't have 20 cats running through my yard. I can't have a rat in my yard. So, you know, we need to really address the animal situation on the cats. I'm not a big cat eater.
Anyone else? Last call. Okay.
My name is Daisy Borison. I live on Fawcett Road. The marijuana caregiver facility is going in front of our house. That's where they proposed that they wanted it. And at the planning commission meeting, there were several people that spoke up against it, and thankfully it was denied because the board listened to us. So I'm just wanting to reiterate that, you know, there's a lot of stuff that was going on there that they were doing illegally already, and none of us want that here, and that you should really listen to us when we say that, you know, all that should be denied, and we should have something that puts those in commercial areas and not in residential areas, especially since the bus stop is right there with 13 kids, you know, or more because of the families that are involved there. So, thank you.
Any comments? Good.
Jeanette, Tyrone Township resident. To be clear, and I have the FOIA info on this, the supervisor was notified about that animal or violation in September, and he contacted the lawyer and said, looks like we have a hot button. So that went on for quite a while. I don't think it was anybody from the township out driving around and noticing it. It was reported by other townships who would have the same problem. Also last week, to Daisy's point, the marijuana caregiver got denied. If you haven't watched the video, you really should, and see what the lawyer had to say for them that was representing. He did nothing but lie, and it was quite interesting because the commissioners were specifically, our new chairman was really ticked off. He did not like the fact that the lawyer was not answering him directly, was not providing him accurate information. You could say he was not happy with the lack of transparency. Go figure. So anyway, they did deny it, and I'm happy that they did that, but I don't understand why it's not on the agenda tonight to give these people in that residence peace of mind to know that you guys are denying it. The other thing I'd like to bring up is, where did I go here? There was a few things here. Well, I'd really like to know what the budget agreement is for the historical townhouse. I do know that at the pre-budget meeting you said 30,000, then Jennifer clarified and said that it is just in case we need it. So I don't know if that's what you meant or not, Jennifer, but that's what it sounded like. It's just sitting there in case we need it. Then of course I tried to FOIA the budget information, and there's no line item that says 30,000. So I would appreciate if the supervisor would clarify that it is actually 30,000 for the historical society, or isn't it? Is there money or isn't it? And if there is, give it to them and let them get the stuff done. Then the other thing I'm going to say, I thought long and hard about saying this, but I'd like to know which man up here would like to and has stated publicly to another board member that you would like to physically harm me. I'm saying this for my own protection, because I'm a happy person. I'm married to a wonderful man. I have a wonderful life, and I'm not going to do anything stupid. If I get hurt, someone's responsible. So, whoever it is that wants to hurt me physically and wants me to sit the F down and all the other things that were said, I don't think you're fit to be on this board, and you should think twice about running. I'm mad. I am so mad that I have to come up here and even say this. Go ahead and cut me off.
Thank you.
This is important.
Thank you for your comment.
Women in our community should not have to fear their board.
I said thank you for your comment.
Exactly, and he cuts it off.
Being there's no more
It's not
public
the last
comment,
you
I'll
heard
entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks for sitting down here. would have been weird. Like, all these dinners. Hey, I guess that I put deodorant on.
Terry. Terry.
Tell me where to go. You keep walking. Don't even talk to me. You stood by someone who physically wanted to hurt me out there, and you stood by him and you laughed him out.